All right. We don't need desktop audio, and boy, I'm way over there. Give me a sec. Let me just scoot this. All right. Whew. And I'm a little shaky. I had some pre-workout this morning because I forgot to make my cold brew. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to make something without jittering too much. All right. I was just getting some reference here. I'm going to be doing a ship and a bottle again. I know we've kind of already done that, but it was an afterthought on one of the other live streams. So we're going to do it for real this time. Only I want to punch it up a notch. The only thing that I need is that for there to be wood on the ship and a balloon on the ship. The bottle is going to be rotated vertically with a hole in the top, you know, like a little 5-gallon water bottle. And then maybe we can do some water and some sharks and some fun stuff underneath. And then I want to balloon out the top because I think that'll just be more poppy. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it'll be dumb, but we'll give it a shot. This is kind of a cool looking one. Save image here. So a lot of really cool ships. And really it's just a ship. I like a cartoony pirate ship with wood and yeah, something like that. All right, so I think we've got enough here. Let me just load that image up here, add local image. That was the little pointy one there. There we go. I'm going to stick this up here. John Yu. Oh yeah, that's weird. I have also on my... Okay, so speaking of live streaming and such, here is the usual things. We're going to go to view profile here. Actually, stream. They don't have my latest... I don't think they have my latest in here. Yeah. So anyway, if assuming they get these playlists up and running, there's all of the live streams for this channel, and then on my channel here, all the past live streams as well. So this has the latest. I mean, it's on their website, but here's like the fin Boolean with the little bones, and then the muscle écrochet of fin in here. So if you want to follow along and such. But anyway, let's start making a pirate ship. So we're going to go through here and we're going to make, what's a good way to start this? Basically, a pirate ship is kind of scooped on the bottom. So let's start with a sphere, go into edit mode, make polymesh 3D. Yeah, we're in ZBrush if you've never seen this before. And what we're going to do is just kind of scale this out just a bit. And we'll just kind of put a pirate ship on here. Let's go in here and also maybe do a little bit of a taper. Let's see how this works. So we kind of taper this off just a bit. That's not really what I'm looking for. Let's go over here to Deformer, Control Alt drag over these bottom sections here, and we'll just kind of squeeze it in on the bottom there. And let's hit Control D once and then go to Geometry, delete lower. I just want a few more points in here so when we start knifing this up or slicing this up, I want to be able to have a few more points. Okay, so pirate ship generally looks like, well, here's all the parts. Let's zoom in on this a little bit here. So it kind of, that's not a great one. There, oh, this is a good one. This is what we're aiming for. So it'll be kind of a top and then a scoop down and then an up. Or what is that, the poop deck on the front. 8 is, forecastle deck. And then 17 is the poop deck. Okay, poop deck's in the rear. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? I've been okay. I've been all right. Not too shabby. How you been, John? I can't complain too much. I'm actually going to flip this. For some reason, I'll say flip horizontally. There we go. So I'm going to go in here to floor, make sure I'm oriented the right way. There's Z forward. I don't know, Z forward front of the ship. I'm just going to have it going this way. So we want to come in at this angle. We're going to hold Alt tap twice and then Alt tap once to kind of give us a little bend here, and then just keep Alt tapping, and then we'll bend back up. Should it go up even more? Yeah, maybe. So bend up, maybe a little bit taller, Alt tap twice, and we'll just kind of slice across here. So now we're going to hold down Control Shift, isolate this front part, and we're going to say delete hidden, geometry modify topology, delete hidden, and I think we're in good shape. I'm trying to get a good side view. It's good enough. So we'll need a rudder on there, it looks like, and maybe some ballast over the side. And this is going to be a floating ship, so it's going to be a little bit weird. If it's going to be a floating ship, should we even have... Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do a floating version and a not floating version. We'll give it a shot. We'll see. So we've got this here, and now I kind of want to simplify this. I'm going to hold down Control Shift, and you know what? This might actually just work. If the boards kind of go and meet in the side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and I'm going to slice this side off. I'm just going to keep one side and I'll just mirror and rotate. Or I'm sorry, just mirror and weld on the other side. So this will work, I think. And it kind of did some interesting stuff here. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a quick bridge edges with my ZModeler brush, BZM. And we're going to close this up. I'm not sure why it did that, but we'll figure it out. We'll clean it up a little bit. So basically what I'm looking for is just not super aliased results like this. So we can just go in here and we can just say delete a poly here. And then if you really want to clean this up too, you can go down here to masking and we can say mask by open border, Control Tap to invert that, deformation, polish by features, and just kind of smooth that out. So now if I were to ZRemesh this, we don't have X symmetry turned on, but we could just do a ZRemesh half, depth size down to 0, and just clean this up a little bit. Before I do that, I guess we can use this as filler. I'm going to go through here. We could go through here and start slicing in the boards that are going to make up the ship. So this is going to be a big fat trim. So I'm not going to be too worried about this. Maybe I'll put boards through here, and then maybe I want these to all be wood. So I can try to go through and kind of make this all be wood, and we'll leave that just as wood here. So if we have this, we can go through here, and again, we'll go ahead and keep groups, smooth groups down to 0 because they should be pretty smooth, and that'll just give us simplified geometry for our boards. Yeah, I think that'll work. So we're going to go ahead and say, just to make this a little bit easier to work with, because these are going to be kind of fitted together. They don't need to be vert welded or anything like that. So I'm going to go in here to split, group split here. So we're going to kind of split these off into their own component parts. And I'm going to sharpen these corners up a little bit. We're going to grab our move brush with AccuCurve turned on, and so we can pull the points a little bit easier. And that'll just make it easier to kind of get these things situated. Okay. And then now we can go through here and just like ZRemesh half. We don't need to have keep groups on. So just to simplify these boards even more. It's just easier if things aren't vert welded. You may still have some issues like this, but you can also just go through here and just do like a slide by brush radius here and just scooch these on down here. And you can smooth these out too if you want to, but I don't know why I'd get so caught up in this. And we may figure out a better way as we're working to kind of achieve some of this stuff. Let's go ahead and do a ZRemesh half. And again, keep groups off. Here, and then a ZRemesh half. And we can probably go even lower than that. Half, and half. And actually, I'm probably being I'm putting in simpler geometry in here, so if I did want to go through and break up these boards, I could actually just use the geometry breaks for most of these. So I could say, you know what, if I want a board break here, I can just go ahead and select this board and then just say, let's say Control W. Oops, Control W. There we go. And then maybe back here, Control Shift Alt. Control W, and then we'll just grab this one, just do an auto groups. So now we've got a bunch of, let's make these a little more obvious. There we go. Got a bunch of different polygroups on here. So at this point, you could go in here to geometry if you wanted to just start making boards. Geometry, edge loop, panel loops. If I do a panel loops right now, it's going to kind of go from the middle, and it's also going to polish the heck out of these. We already got nice geometry, nice smooth transitions here, so we don't need any polish. And then the thickness can go up. However, like I said, it's going to go from the back forward, so we can say elevation at 0 to have it go kind of back and kind of forward, or if you just want to keep that front where it is, we can do panel loops here. And panel loops is basically with double turned on. You can grab a little piece of this one, Control Shift A, and you'll see it's giving us a front, a back, and then side polygroups on here with 5 loops. I'm not sure I need 5 loops, so let's go ahead and drop this down. And we can also, you know, play around with the bevel amount and the bevel profile, but I think that'll work. Oh man, ran out of coffee. Ouch. Yeah, we'll do a pirate ship. Awesome, thank you, Furs. We'll see if we can't get something worthwhile going. Let's go ahead and match these up just a little bit better here. Okay, so that's one way you could go through and make boards. Let's think of is there another way that would be beneficial to us? And again, I'm not worried about UVs or anything like that, so I think this will work. Now that I look at this, I think those bevels are kind of weak. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to say, maybe crank that bevel up a bit. And if I want to put space in between these boards, not that I necessarily would, so I'm probably going to go through here. We're going to hit D for dynamic, and I'm going to do a crease here. We'll also do a crease PG as well. So we'll do maybe, I'm just trying to see how this is going to look. Crease level 2, smooth side of 3, something like that. We can turn our floor off. We know which way we're oriented now. Yeah, and we can kind of go in and kind of mess with these boards just a bit. And in fact, probably even before I get really caught up in the minutia of what these boards should look like, it might actually, I'm going to go through here and just merge all these down. So hotkey for merge, which is down here, merge down. You can assign any hotkey you'd like to that. I don't think it's a default one. And actually, now that I see this one, let's go ahead and make this to a point. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say split edge here, and then again, just move this on up and out. All right, so we've got kind of a ship here, and I'm always a little bit weary, because this will cause problems later. We're going to go ahead and say delete a poly here. All right, so we've got half a ship, and if I want the other half, just a quick geometry modify topology, mirror and weld across the X. Of course, we have to do a deformation mirror first, and then we can do a mirror and weld across the X. We can sew all this stuff up, but I don't know, something like that. So let's take a look at it in the round. Is there anything I'd like to change? Okay, I think we're in okay shape. Let me move this down so I'm not distracted by myself. I'm so distracting. And let's see, would you know of any updates coming to ZRemesh Core? We're not really all good of no. I don't really keep up. I do have some ZRemesh Core. I got a couple streams on ZRemesh Core, right? Or you know what? I have an old one on ZRemesh Core, but then in my live streams I have a ZRemesh Core and a ZRemesh. What's the other one? ZRemesh Mini or something like that. Somewhere in here, there's a couple of different. Oh, here we go. Pencil carving. No. Somewhere in here, there's some Star Wars stuff that is like ZRemesh Core and ZRemesh Mini in here. But I really don't know. I wish I knew. And if I miss anything, I apologize in advance. Okay, so we've got boards going. Now let's talk about trim. And also bridging. So what we could do, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this off. And just so we have the boards available to us, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to where before we started doing all sorts of crazy stuff on this one here. Actually, since we merged down, it's not going to go back that far. That's okay. Okay, so we got this one. I'm going to duplicate this off again, and let's go ahead and let's see if we can just do this. I'm going to do a weld points, crank that weld distance up. Ooh, maybe not that far. And see if I can't weld these together, or at least most of them together. Actually, that'll work. And I'm going to turn on display properties double so I can get a little better sense of what's going on here. And I want to continue making this boat on the insides. So let's go ahead and do a quick bridge edges. I'm kind of being, my order of operations is a bit off, so I apologize. We're kind of meandering our way through this. I obviously didn't prep for this or anything, so we're just kind of winging it. We're going to go through here, and I'm just going to kind of bridge across here so I can very quickly go in here and see if I can't just do a close holes. And again, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. And then I'll go ahead and sync some of these up. I think that'll mostly be fine. I'm going to help this out just a little bit. We're just going to go across here. And again, I'm just trying to have the close holes operation not have to think too hard. So I'm just going to go across here. And I'll do another close holes, mirror and weld. Boy, just right here. We also could have used knife curve, which would have helped there, I think, a little bit. But hey, hindsight being 20/20. So now we've closed this up a little bit here, and let's go ahead and just continue creating the rest of the ship. So we'll go ahead and put some trim on the ship, and maybe we'll be a little bit fancier with our trim. Trying to see if we have like a fancy, like this has like, you know, this trim kind of goes up here and stops, and it comes to a point. This one doesn't really have any trim. It's got a cool little glass thing on the front. We'll see. So I have my boards here, and then I just want to put in a big trim. So what's the best way to go about doing that? Now I really wish I would have kept all this stuff. So let's go ahead and make this one solid block of geometry. So I'm going to go in here and just Dynamesh all this together like so. And I'm going to run a polish by features open circle just to kind of smooth this out. So this is our overall shape, and I'm going to duplicate this off just in case I need to come back to it, which I should have done last time. And now we can start just putting geometry on here, or just borrowing some of these shapes to add geometry to. Let's go ahead and turn on X symmetry, and we'll go ahead and smooth these little points off. So yeah, trim. Should we go from the top or from the sides and then in? I think we're going to go from the sides in. So again, we have just a block. We've basically voxelized that overall shape. So I'm going to go in here again with our slice curve. I always like to have ZRemesher, see if we can't get that to do a little bit of our heavy lifting for us. And I'm going to go through here and I'm just going to slice. Again, not the most organized thinking on my part, but I think we'll make do. So we've sliced through here. I'm going to hold down Control Shift, delete hidden, and let's go ahead and just do one more, and we're just going to make some geometry out of this. We could go through there and we could use like edge extrusion and Z-sphere or Z-sphere topology and all that good stuff, but I'm just going to take this one here, delete hidden. I'm going to turn off double, and then we'll just do another ZRemesh half. We don't need to keep groups on this one here. And God, it seems to be just having the hardest time. I don't know why my slicing all of a sudden is doing this type of thing. It's usually pretty clean. Okay, let's do this. Let's go in here and say auto groups, and then, no, those are still vert welded, aren't they? Okay, I'm gonna hold down Alt with my ZModeler brush. I'm just gonna paint these in manually. Again, I don't know why my slice brush all of a sudden is leaving these little jagged edges here. It's not the end of the world. I can fix it. It just seems silly that I'm having to fix these up, unless I'm doing something wrong. So I'm holding down Alt and I'm starting to paint, and then I'm tapping Shift so I can paint with that polygroup color here. Close enough. Delete hidden, and again we're just going to go ahead and do that masking over here, mask our border, invert that deformation, polish by features, smooth that out, so now when I ZRemesh it won't be confused by a bunch of aliased edges there. ZRemesh half and half and half, and just let this build the geometry for us. Again, if I want to say, hey, you know what, try a point here and maybe a point here, it'll do that for us. There we go. There we go. So now we have our trim. Let's see how far we can push this. Pretty far? Yeah, really far. If we need to, and this is all one solid piece. Of course, doesn't need to be. And in fact, if you're going to manufacture this, it probably wouldn't be, right? It would be like this piece and this piece. So let's do that. I'm going to back off that geo just a bit here, and let's say Control Shift. I'm going to slice here, and I'm going to slice, I guess we'll just go straight back on these. Slice straight back. So I'm going to say split hidden, and now we'll ZRemesh half this one, assuming it didn't do anything squirrely on it, did it? Let's say delete. Delete a poly. Turn this into our corner here. Half. Okay, that's a little bit better. Let's go out of solo mode, and again, I'm keep pushing these as hard as I can with that half button. And then this one here, I got to remind it again, because I undid it, to pull to a corner and pull to a corner half. Good enough. And oh, those are both together. Okay, that'll work. And you know, little stuff like this, you can keep trying to go ZRemesh half and seeing if that'll work. It did pretty good. If I ever do something like this, just again, you can go in here real quickly and just do like a split edge and then bridge 2 points, and then you can just put those together and then just collapse this down. Yoink. And again, these might perform better if you were to split them off, but I think we're in okay shape. All right, so we've got our trim here. So let's go with our trim. And I guess we could try doing panel loops on this too. I'm going to hit Control E to kind of make those all one subtool here. So if we go down here now and we try doing maybe a bit of a panel loops, again, polish off, thickness up, bevel up a little bit, maybe loops down to, we'll do loops down to 1. We can always change that. And then we're going to say, meet me in the middle at elevation of 0. And let's turn off our voxelized working here. Okay. We've got trim, and we can move this stuff around. I think that'll work. All right, so let's hit W. I'm going to move this up just a bit and maybe scale it out just a bit. And it's giving us inside and outside polygroup. So if I ever want to, I can say QMesh polygroup all and just hold down Shift as I pull and really thicken this up. And again, we can just kind of scale here and here. We can go through here with our move brush and kind of move these all back into place here. And now we've got trim here. And if I want to thicken up this top trim, we do have a top polygroup here. So QMesh polygroup all, and we can thicken this up, and or we can go through here. Let's isolate these two. So I'm going to say, give me this little piece in the back, and give me this little piece in the front. Control Shift A, and I'm going to do a quick group by normals, and then just do a quick geometry modified topology. Oops, and I guess we'll do it for all. Group by normals, geometry modified topology, mirror and weld, and now I can say QMesh polygroup all, and it's just going to pull that top one up a bit. I don't have to worry about the bottom one. And I'll pull this up a bit. And then if I go in here to move, auto masking, topological, I can keep this one. I can just kind of move these things around independently of the other. All right, we'll put our voxelized mesh back. So we've got some trim on here, and I'm kind of looking at this one too. We got some trim, we got some boards, we can put some stairs in there, and these railings we can do pretty easily and fun. Maybe have a little house on the back, or a cannon, or this is going to be floating. Maybe some sort of fire. What do they call it? A billow with some fire coming out, so it'll push it forward a little bit, maybe. Okay, so we got this. Let's go ahead and get going on our interior, or insides here. So again, I'm going to duplicate this off because it's going to be useful, I think. So again, I need a top surface and a bottom surface and a side surface, and I guess I can use this as well. So I'm going to go through here. Let's use our knife brush. So knife curve. Here, let's do a quick save. I'm just going to slice straight line back, and with knife, instead of slice, what it's doing is it's slicing through and then closing these. So I'm getting some really nice surfaces here, and then yeah, I guess I'm just going to do this. So with the knife brush, just alt tap and kind of swing this around here. Oops, got a little bit twisted up here. And you know, you could use Booleans for this too. Just knife curve, just a little bit faster maybe. There we go. So we have 3 very, very nice polygroups here. So I can just isolate these here, 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 and then maybe delete hidden. Geometry modified topology, mirror and weld, just in case. X symmetry turned on. So when we ZRemesh, it'll be a symmetrical result. Keep groups, smooth groups down to 0. And then if everything went well, it looks like knife is doing a better job than slice for some reason this morning, as far as keeping my sides not alias. So now I've got fairly nice geometry. Again, I'm going to push this as hard as I can. Wow. Great job, ZRemesher. You did it. Now we've got the top and the side, so we can put stuff on there. Do we need portal on the side, or do we need a big, like I said, there was a big glass thing on the front here. I should have, if I was going to do that, I should have worked it in. Trying to see if there's like I guess I got little windows on here. I'm going to simplify this a bit, just like our previous one here. So we're going to say, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about that just yet. So we've got a surface on here now, which is nice. So now I can go through here and put in our main mast. What is that called? Yeah, main mast. And we're just gonna probably have one main mast. Or should I shouldn't even have a main mast if this is gonna be a balloon. We're gonna do 2 versions of this. one with a balloon and then one with a mast maybe. It should be pretty easy either way. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to hit, here's my custom menu, but you can go in here to BI brush insert primitives. You can grab a cylinder out of here. I like my custom menu because it's got simplified geo. So again, X symmetry turned on, just drag a little cylinder out here. If you drag out and then back, it'll actually thin it out for you, which is nice. Split mast points. And then we can just make this as much or as little. And then a couple different ways to taper. One easy way is just to go through here, go to unmask mesh center, and then you can just mask and scale. So pull this up. Now, on top of this mast should be like a little crow's nest. So let's see if I can't be a little smarter about how I go about this instead of what I did previously. Trying to see if there's a cool crow's nest. It's just a barrel, right? So, well, it's not really, it doesn't have too much of a bend to it on these references here. So let's try this. Going back in here with another cylinder, and we're just going to say U, and we're going to say split mast points here. And again, another taper, so go to unmask mesh center here, and we're going to scale this out, and this can be the start of this. So if I go through here and I say, you know, group by normals, that'll give me normals on all sides. I can get rid of this top one here, and I can say delete hidden. And if I want to just turn these into boards, I can, and then I can replace this bottom part with boards as well. And then it would just be a matter of like Q mesh, all polygons or whatever. And then, oops, hold on. Let's fix this. Collapse edge here. We were not symmetrical here, no. Man, I'm just having all kinds of problems here. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, I will win. Damn it. Okay, so move here. Oh, I had it masked, that's why. Duh. Okay, so unmask mic, collapse edge works fine. So we've got this here. And like I said, we can turn these just into boards as they are. Is there any reason not to do that? Unless you want the boards going this way, which we could also slice and have ZBrush, like if you wanted to go through here and be like, hey, let me slice this, and now you've got boards running this way. Is there anything that looks better? Yeah, I like the vertical. So we can even turn all these into poly panel loops. But again, let's go ahead and pop this off. We're going to say split mast point. Oops, I'm sorry. Split hidden. And then on here, let's put some slices through here. So here's a slice. Here's a slice. And then let's try this. ZRemesh double keep group smooth groups down to 0. Okay, that's not terrible. Here. Perfect. All right, now let's try half. I always like to stress it. Okay, that'll work. So again, those can be panel loop boards. These can all be individually split off and panel loops. And if we want to do, let's go ahead and duplicate this off, and we'll go ahead and split this off here, delete hidden. And this can just be a, let's do Q mesh polygroup all, we'll pull out. And then I'm going to go to the inside, hold down shift and pull in. That'll work. If we want one on the top, and let's go through here. Let's hit W. I'm going to go to unmask mesh center, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and you can scale down that axis just to kind of thin that out just a bit. And then off of this, you know what? Does this just continue through? I think it does. So I'm going to hold down Control Alt and just pull up, and then go to unmask mesh center again, and we'll just scale this in. Zoom in here and make sure that, yeah, I'm in the middle. Okay, sorry. So we'll just shrink this down. And then off of here can be the flag. In my original one, it was like the sail had the skull and crossbones on it. I kind of like that, so I may keep it. But this can just be a regular old flag. So let's make a flag real quick. So I'm gonna go to the top here, and it's gonna, I'm just kind of, actually, let's make this a little bit better too. It's fine. I should make it better, damn it. Let's go in here. So if I turn on my floor, this is, I don't turn my floor, this is the Z axis. So we're gonna go in here to mirror and weld across the Z using local symmetry here, and in fact, let's mirror in Z first, mirror and weld, and then mirror it back. Sorry, I should have been more careful when I first made this. Let's collapse these in. This is when I need a mouse here, doesn't it? Give me it. Okay, and you know what? Let's make this bevel edge loop complete. A little bit better. You can always hold down Control Alt and then, you know, pick a point and you can Z scale this back, or you can use clip brushes to kind of clean this up. The problem is now these may or may not be correct, but you know what? Same thing with this. You can unmask this. You can say, you know what? Let's scale this back and then let's pull this out here. Oops. And then we'll push these boards back just a little bit here. All right. Okay, so we were doing this. I'm just going to drag a plane onto the top here. I think this will be, oof. I think this will be okay. It's unmasked here. There we go. So plane on the top here. We'll go ahead and say split mask points. So it's on its own thing. Let's go in here to our brush. Curve. Let's see if this will work. Curve flat. And we're going to turn on transparency so you can see what we're doing. So this is just basically going to be a flag kind of rippling in the wind, going backwards, and it'll kind of taper off maybe. Yeah, that'll work. So we'll keep this simple-ish. So we're going to go through here, and let's go ahead and turn off X symmetry, and let's turn off lazy mouse. Oh. Also, if you have that, you know, if you're dragging this out and you want to keep dragging it, it's got that really long rubber band. That's kind of nice sometimes. If it does bother you, underneath brush modifiers, nope, underneath stroke, curve, curve snap distance, it's at 60. Put that down to like 10. Okay, so we're going to do this. So this is going to kind of come out. And then, okay, let's go ahead and I'm just going to give myself a little bit more runway. Here we go. So we're going to kind of come out and then kind of just wiggle in the wind a little bit. And then I'm going to say tap off to get rid of that curve and split mask points, hit W, and again, we'll just Z scale this back so it's all, we can always undulate this as needed. And this plane I don't think we'll need anymore, but we'll just turn it off for now. Okay, so we've got this. And if I want to go ahead and just start tapering this, you can hit W. I'm going to set it here. And I wonder, let me see if I get this taper to work in one direction. So I want to taper here. What does this do? Exponent down to 0, taper in this direction. So it kind of thins out as it goes down. Okay. And then now we can go through here and we can always thin it out too when we get to real geometry. So we'll do an extrude all polygons, and we'll just pull this down here. Good enough. And then we'll do, I'm going to try this again. Let's go here, and we'll say taper, 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 exponent at 0. Taper it down this way. And actually, we can say it's on X, Y, and Z, so I just want to taper it in 0, 0. If I just want to taper it in Z, that's what I think I'm looking for. Oh, maybe not. Maybe just Y, sorry. 0, 0, taper. There we go, just taper in the Y. So you can control that, you don't need to use the deformer. Okay. So there's kind of a flag. And then again, if I want to thin this up a little bit, let's go ahead and do a quick group by normals and then crank up that max angle. It's under your polygroup menu, by the way, just so I can see if I can't get, okay, we got a blue on the back here, and then these, the pink and yellow, just to make this a little bit easier to grab. I'm going to say insert single edge loop down the middle, and I'm going to grab this pink and yellow, Control W to make that all one polygroup. And these are all one polygroup. There we go. So now we've got a front, back, and sides and all that good stuff. So now I can simply go through here and just say Q mesh polygroup all hold down shift as I pull, and then I'll kind of thin this out. Or what might even be better, let me just make this a little more uniform. We'll go ahead and say delete hidden. And now I'm going to say, instead of Q mesh, if you pull these out and these things can kind of get sticky in here, they want to stick together, go in here into extrude. And we'll just do a quick extrude. I think that'll work fine. And we'll just kind of scooch this over. And if this is a bit big, we can just go through here. We'll reset our pivot back here and we'll just scale this down. Something like this. So here's our little flag, and then again we can go through here and just kind of undulate this around a little bit more. Something like that. Okay. We've kind of got some stuff going. Oh boy, let me get caught up here. ZRemesh core, yeah, not sure. Clip curve and knife curve besides polygrouping and cleaner topology get with the knife. That's it. That would be the dip. Well, it's not the difference. So basically, let me see if there's something we can make with that real quick. So we got this. Let's use knife curve. Let's turn off transparency, turn off local sim. Let's use knife curve to create. We can get fancier with this stuff too. Okay, let's make a rudder. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say append a cube. We're going to take this cube, we're going to scoot it back, and we're going to scale this down, and we're going to scale it in. So something like this, right? Only when we made this cube is kind of crappy geometry. So turn on X symmetry just to get some cleaner geometry. I'm going to say half, depth size down to 0, detect edges on my ZRemesher. And then if I want to go and knife through this, I can just hit, and it also creased for me. So I can hit Control D a couple times, hit delete lower. Now I've got a lot of nice geometry to slice through. Now, if I was to go through here and use knife curve to make my rudder shape, which would be, kind of looks like it goes down and then out and then down again, something like this. It does a slice operation and then a fill hole operation. There is another one that'll kind of do that, which is trim. So basically it goes slice like so, and then it goes, hey, keep. It's a little bit harder because I have a, let's do this, make this easier on ourselves. Control W. So you can go through here, and if you use trim, well, let's do slice. So here's the super manual way. Slice here, and then isolate this, geometry modify topology, delete hidden, close holes. Now the problem is when it's slice and close holes, it made this result, right? It kind of got thin in here, and that's kind of nasty. So you may think, and that, honestly, that's exactly, I don't know why that's honestly, I'm always honest. That's exactly what trim is doing. It's slicing, deleting, and then closing holes. That close the holes operation is not great in that case, but if you go in here to knife curve, you can go through, and then when it does the close holes operation, it goes straight back, and it gives you really, really nice geometry. In fact, I can pull this middle one off and just create the rudder out of that. So there's that. Now clip doesn't do any slicing. Clip is literally just taking geometry, and so where you have this gradient line, it just takes that geometry and smashes it back. So it's all still there, smashed along there. So which is sometimes okay, but in this case, I think knife curve is our best bet. So again, we're going to go through here and we're going to say, where's my rudder shape? There it is. So down and then out and then down again, like so. And then on the back, it's basically just straight. So we'll just go ahead and say boop, and this will be our rudder. A little thinner in here. And actually, before I don't have to do that before. I can go through here right now and just say group by normals, and it should do a pretty decent job. And now that I got a group by normals, oof, this might be problematic, but I'll tell you what's making it easier. Since I'm just going to have this shape on both sides, all I really need is this shape right here, right? So delete hidden, ZRemesh half here. Oh, X symmetry turned off, ZRemesh half. There we go. And then let's do ZRemesh half again. Beautiful. And then we'll do a quick extrude all polygons here. And then let's go ahead and turn everything else back on. Maybe turn on our floor so I can just put this down the middle, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. And then we'll go to unmesh, mesh center. And then we can scale this out. So that'll give us a rudder there. Rudder, also made of wood. Should I go You know what? I'm also need to think about scale too. So it's not like I'm making this so that human-sized people can walk around on it. It's going to be a ship in a bottle, so I don't want to get too crazy. But if I want to put some bands, some iron bands to kind of keep this lashed together, I can duplicate this off. I can just take this one here on the side. Delete hidden, auto groups. We don't need knife for this one. We'll use slice. So I want to put a metal band here and maybe a metal band here. And if you actually, we'll just eyeball it. You can use brush radius, but I'm just going to go through here and just say metal bands, you and you. Delete hidden, ZRemesh same, since it's already pretty low. X symmetry turned off. Half. Beautiful. So now, again, extrude, and then on the back side here, let's make these both one polygroup here. You and you, gimme. Nice. Oops. Extrude, polygroup all. Yoink, hold down shift to pull across, geometry modify topology mirror and weld, and we'll scale this in. And we'll scale this out. And we'll move this forward. And scale it out just a bit. There we go. Cool. Here, here, and here. Yeah, I think that'll work for now. Pirate ship today, again, but different. Knife curve can cause ZBrush to crash someplace. Yeah, so hit that quick save. And again, if I miss anything, please forgive me. Yeah, I'm same way, John. Like ZRemesher, I use that. Yeah, you do bricks too, absolutely. Let's see, using creases, how do you minimize pinching on some creased edges? It kind of depends on if it's on the sub-D surface. So when we get into creasing on some of these things, we may have to alleviate some of that pinching. We'll see how it goes. Cool. How am I able to stream to this channel? Sign up somewhere with that. Yeah. Who would you contact for that? ZBrush. I'm not sure. It's been years since I've even had to think about that. Yeah, somebody at Pixel Logic would put you on this channel, I suppose. Yeah, I agree. There's some reason to use clip curve can sometimes be nice for some stuff, but yeah. Cool. Hello from India. Yep, started from a sphere. Pin tablet. Pin tablet for 99.9. A little bit of mouse for some other stuff. If I need a little steadier hand because I had too much caffeine this morning with my pre-workout. So we need a little front piece here. This is where I should have been a little bit more creative probably, because this is kind of super lame, I think, here. So now that we've gotten this far, should I just bag this and have a little bit more fun? Would that just destroy? Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not excited by this. I'm just not excited by it. I'm just not. But we do have this here still, so we can really we can don't be afraid to go through and make changes as needed. It's always for the better. Geometry modify topology. Well, I can't say always. Hopefully it's for the better. So we're going to go through here, and I'm going to modify this a bit. So what I'm going to do is on the side here, I'm going to kind of square this out. In fact, if we can go over here, there's a brush for this. If we go down here to depth, we can turn on infinite depth in the Y direction. And so now I can go straight back, and we can kind of square this part out a bit. So we'll go ahead and square this out. And then on the front, I'm going to go in here to H polish, get rid of that artifacting there. So we're going back to our concept, and we're going to make this a little bit more exciting to work on, for me anyway. So we'll kind of square this off on the back. And then on the front, it kind of swoops in. But I want a little space for this. So what I'm going to do is hold down Control-Shift. Again, quick save. That's 9 on your keyboard, I believe. And then we'll go in here to Knife Curve. And we're just going to chop this little front part off. Maybe a little bit. Like so. So now, when this comes forward, it'll swoop down and then give us a little space to put like a thing coming out. Like so. And these aren't very deep either, so I could go through, and let's just say, let's deepen these up just a bit. And if I'm having a hard time like getting this to behave, also remember we can go through here, Alt-E would be a good one for this. I guess a cube is fine. So we're going to take this here, and we're going to pull this right down the middle, and I'm going to take this whole thing, shoot it down to the bottom so I can just isolate these two, and we're going to say split mass points here, and I'm going to scale this out and scale this out here, and let's do this. Let's say bevel edge loop complete, and let's go in here and we'll say crease, turn on dynamic crease level of 2, smooth subdiv of crease level 1. So I'm going to kind of knock those edges down a little bit here, and then we're going to turn this into a Boolean. So we're going to say subtractive, scooch it down to the bottom, live Boolean, and now I can use this to kind of go through and slice, make it a little bit nicer. In fact, I can also just grab the top verts and scale them out. Let's make sure I know what I'm doing here. These ones here. There we go. So just a slice through here, and then even on this side, we've got that chunk taken out. We've got that backside here. Let's go back into our Damien standard. Turn off our floor. Let's see if we can resolve this a little bit better. I got a bottom view of a ship. I guess it's fine. I'm going to hold down Alt here. We're going to kind of pull along. And we're going to go to our clay brush here, and then we're going to go to our H polish brush here. Hold down Alt, Shift to smooth. And again, we're just kind of working out how the ship's going to go. Something like this. And we could put a polygroup on here if we need this to be specific, but we'll see. I might just build in kind of that shape here. All right. And then this would be an instance where maybe I want to just use the clip curve instead of slice and knife. Just go through here and clip this out. But since I got the Booleans doing the heavy lifting for me, we can just keep that here. Again, let's turn everything off here and here. What is stopping it? Oh, we saw it masked. I am just bad about that masking thing today. Okay. We got the front here. Swoop, swoop. This. Okay, so this should be a little bit more interesting. So if we go through here, and of course you can sculpt while you're in live Boolean mode. No problem. And you could Dynamesh the Boolean. As long as it's geo, it'll Boolean. In fact, if you want to kind of smooth this up a little bit, I can go down here and I can hit D for dynamic here. And then smooth subdiv up a bit. Nice clean cut here and here. I'm just afraid to move forward for some reason now. I want to make sure this is correct, because if I move forward and it's not, or at least not what I'm looking for, I'm going to be mad. So again, we still have infinite depth, so as I pull this back, it'll go all the way through to those bottom pieces here. And then this one, we'll just use clip. Let's kind of punch those back, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. Smooth, trim dynamic might be a good one for this, and then smooth, and then a little H polish back here. All right, I like that a little bit better. Now, let's see if we can't do boards. Let's do boards a little bit better, maybe. Okay, so we're going to turn polyframe on. So I've got a polygroup up here, which is nice. This is all going to be one polygroup. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the top is polygrouped as well. So that's when knife curve is going to come into play here. So we're just going to slice this top off here and slice this top off here. And then the rest of it should just fall into place. So polygroup, 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 polygroup. So with everything visible with live Booleans turned on, I can go down here to everything visible that I want to have affected by the Boolean, I should say. Dynamic subdivision, make Boolean mesh. That'll pop out a U mesh over here. And now I should have decent polygroups. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Red and blue can be one. This one should be more obvious for you. And then this one back here. So this should work. This can all be just one polygroup. So now geometry modify topology mirror and weld, symmetry X, symmetry turned on. And again, I want to keep this around. So with our original Boolean mesh here, I don't need this and I don't need this, but I do need this. Append our U mesh here, and I am going to keep this thing around because it's going to be useful. So we've got our boat here, so I'm going to duplicate this off. I'm going to hide this original one. Go ahead and turn everything else back on. And now if I go through here and say, let's just try it. Let's make this so you can see a little bit better. Skin shader 4, ZRemesh or half, depth size down to 0, keep group smooth groups down to 0. And we'll give it a shot. Looks like I may have a slight issue over here, but we'll see if it does an okay job. Does a quad generated by the knife tool always have the same constant amount, or does it depend on the max mesh resolution? I want to say it's resolution dependent, but I could be lying. Wait a minute. Really? Hold on just a second. For some reason, it made those the same polygroup again. All right. Hold on. Just real quickly. Knife curve. Give me a polygroup there, man. Oh, you know why? Because this is all one polygroup. Autogroups, it kind of dips down just ever so slightly. All right, I got you. Now I understand. More obvious. There we go. Okay, but the good news is I did a pretty decent job. So I'm going to duplicate this off, and then again, ZRemesh, half depth size down to 0, keep groups from groups down to 0. Yeah, tablet. Is there a way to use 2 overlapping strokes of a standard brush or damp standard brush to be made smooth, like Morph target with layer brush? When I do the same for them, it doesn't work. How can I cross stroke smoothly? Yeah, let's see, ZRemesh half. And you don't have to do half. You can drop it down to like a target polygon count of like 3 and then start from there, so you don't have to go through this. But okay, that's a little bit nicer to work on. But anyway, as far as, let's do a quick save. As far as, we'll turn off live Boolean. Z-sphere, make polymesh 3D, subdivide this up. So for example, brush chisel brush here, and you can say, I can chisel across here, but when I chisel across, it's going to double. So that's when you want to go down here to morph target, store it. So now we can chisel across, and we can chisel across, and everything is fine. So as far as like, you know, using a standard brush or a Damien standard brush and having it do that, probably not. Let me see the intensity up. Yeah, it still wants to do a double. One thing you can do, or try, is you can say Thickskin. So you turn this on, and then you can just dial in the amount of offset you want this brush to have control over, so it'll kind of cap itself out. And then when you go across, it'll kind of cap. And you can use this with any brush. You can hold down Alt, and then hold down Alt. I'm not sure how well it'll work on. Yeah, it works fine. So here's Damien standard with Alt. I guess along that cap point, kind of does some weird stuff, but yeah, maybe try Thickskin. All right, so got this. We don't need this top part anymore. We got a new mesh, all new mesh. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit here. Say unmask, V, infinite depth off. Beautiful. All right, I think we got something workable. And then now when we go through here and make boards, let's try something different. So I'm going to say, and we'll keep this around too. I'm just going to keep stacking these. Duplicate this off. And I'm going to say crease PG, crease level 50. I'm going to keep that up, but I'm going to crank this up. I'm going to say apply just to make real geometry, and then delete lower. So I've got nice healthy geometry in here. And now we're going to go through here. We're going to insert, a cube. So we're going to take this cube here and we're going to scale it down. Again, if I want, not that I really need this, but sometimes it's nice. Again, just do a ZRemesh half upside down to 0, detect edges, X symmetry turned on. You know, you can divide this up a couple times and then delete lower if you wanted to like slice things out of it. But I'm just going to use this for Booleans. So we have this here, and we're going to scale this down. And we only got these two things on. So again, if we go in here to a live Boolean, we make this to subtractive. I can go through here. Instead of slicing, I can just use this to kind of fine tune, you know, where I want these things to be. So this will be my slices through here. And then I can just kind of look, and then if I undrag, then basically all I'm doing is just control dragging down copies of this. And then I can go through here and I can kind of mess with this. So this might yield me a slightly better result. Oh good, my camera. Off, on. Yes, I'm having a good day. Anatomy books you recommend for human and animal anatomy. Oh, I got you covered. So let's turn this off here. We go to my Google Drive, and I cover this quite a bit too, but if we go to bookshelf, share, get link, copy link, done. There's my bookshelf. A lot of anatomy books on there that are good. Also, if you go through on my YouTube channel and just type in anatomy, we have all sorts of fun with anatomy over the years, so you can check that out too. It might be fun. There might be some fun ones in there. There we go. I'm back. What kind of macros use for you? Do you make some of them to speed up your process? I don't make a ton of macros. Occasionally I'll go in here to Z plugin, ZRepeat it. So there it is. ZRepeat it and load some stuff up in here. Those are ZRepeat is basically just a plugin you can download and install from the Pixelogic website, and it will just do like a record like an action script in Photoshop. You say record, do some stuff, hit don't record anymore, and then you're good to go. So we've got this here. I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, everything visible again, Boolean dynamic subdivision. I don't think I have it on, but just in case, doesn't hurt anything. Insert that UMesh result here, and then we're going to say, let's take a look. Again, if the boards are just going to be the blue parts, just isolate them, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. I'm not going to have the slicing issues on those borders. I think it'll do a pretty bang up job. And you know what else? I wonder also if, or would it be easier? Let's do this. ZRemesher, half upsize down to 0. We don't need to keep groups because it's all just separated geometry anyways. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. It does some funky stuff sometimes to really, really sharp corners. Let's go ahead and do an auto groups. Just first of all, mirror and weld and make sure we have X symmetry turned on. And then let's try that again. Maybe X symmetry is doing something weird. Yeah, it's not too bad. So instead of Booleaning out the planks this away, I'm going to keep this here, and then I'm going to go through. Okay, so if this does happen occasionally, we can quickly just go through and say, you know, bridge 2 points across here, or just geometry modify topology, mirror and weld, and then we can say split down the edge here, and then bridge 2 points, and then collapse here. And then here we can say bridge edges, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld, and then just delete edge. There we go. Good enough, good enough. Yep, I can live with that. So we got some boards here. Let's go ahead and do a quick auto groups. And then again, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. So it's the same on both sides. And then I can just use the pre-existing geometry to put gaps in those boards. Yeah, I think I'm gonna live with that. So back here, let's go ahead and turn off live Boolean. We don't need these meshes anymore. Our U mesh is good. So I'm gonna say delete, delete, and then we'll go ahead and turn everything else back on and see where we left off here. So now we've got this working mesh back here. Let's go ahead and utilize that. So solo mode, Control Shift, isolate, duplicate first, isolate this, here, and then here, and then here. Delete hidden, X symmetry turned on, half depth size down to 0. Keep groups, smooth groups. Down to 0, sorry. Cool. Oh, and yeah, you guys got that. What feature would you most like adding to ZBrush, a new ZModeler? ZModeler, I don't mind ZModeler. I think I actually end up finding myself being a little bit slower in other programs because I've got hotkeys assigned to like one action. Like, oh, I have an extrude edge and extrude face. But in ZModeler, I have a few more. You can assign, basically, you can assign a hotkey to an entire ZModeler brush, and then this ZModeler brush can contain face actions, edge actions, and point actions. So one hotkey for 3 component actions, which is nice. There was something recently. I don't know. You know what? PBR painting would be cool. Like PBR materials inside of ZBrush, and then lights and stuff. That would be kind of neat, wouldn't it? Let's say that. Okay, so we've got this actually. Now that I think about it, I think I did have some requests. This is a long time ago. ZBrush Summit 2018. At the very end of this one, when I'm actually throughout this entire thing, I call out some stuff that I would like. So if you want to see my ZBrush Summit presentation, and this is just basically a bunch of concept and ideation stuff in ZBrush for weapons, characters, vehicles, mechs. Going through here and making quick ZBrushy stuff, throwing it into Engine, having it animate around. Yeah, it's a fun one. So you can check that out. There's some fun stuff in there. Also, with that, not sure what words I was trying to come up with there. I also have the ZBrush Summit 2018 demo tutorial series. There's like 99 videos or something in there. So if there's anything in that presentation that looks interesting to you, you can check that out as well. Any tips other than practice to be better at designer of robot mechanical stuff? Do you recommend any new books, maybe blueprints? Yeah, studying mechanical functionality and kind of mind mapping the process of ergonomics, like H-Point is a really good book that's on the shelf. Robot Evolution is a good one. But really it's kind of like do a little mechanical terminology, do a little bit of functionality, like, and also kind of thinking through problems, especially H-Point, where it's about car design, but it's also about like ergonomics and like where the engine block needs to be, where things need to be on a car in order for it to make sense as a functional vehicle, and then taking those lessons. And I mean, do as I say, not as I do. I don't do this. I don't really make mechs all that much anymore. But yeah, taking those design lessons, and then if you can and then you can just design aesthetically, where you go through and you just kind of, blob some shapes and cut some things and worry more about the silhouette and trying to message to your audience, like what type of mech this is, what's its function, is it old, is it new, is it made from with a lot of money, made with no money at all, is it just put together, is it military manufactured, blah, 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 blah. All those questions you're answering that you want to message visually. Do all of that. And then also, if you also have like, well, actually, the drivetrain needs to be here, the engine needs to be here, the ammo needs to be here, the visibility for this section, because a human's going to be in there, needs to be here, and they need to be able to reach this stuff. If you can design while thinking about that stuff in the back of your head, boy, it's going to be much funner and much easier, right? So that's the good news. Let's go ahead and this very top one, we're going to turn this off. So back kind of where we started, but we have much nicer geometry now because I've done the right thing and I've saved iterations as we've gone through. So now we can go through, and I think for this top rail, let's go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this off, and we're going to take you, and you. Actually, let's go ahead. Did I have another one here that was updated? You off. Okay, yeah, just the top here. So for the railing here, let's do this in 2 separate sections. So I'm going to duplicate this one off, isolate it, and then let's go in here and let's do a group split here. So for this one, I want railing down the side. So this one's already, it's got a little bend to it, which is okay. So I'm going to say, you know what, let's do a poly group, poly loop here. I'm going to isolate just this one, delete hidden. We're going to go through here and we're going to say, we'll extrude out a little bit and then hold down shift as we pull this one back. And then, just real quick, group by normal, geometry modified, topology, mirror and weld, LSIM turned off. Hold down shift as we pull. We can kind of just go through and just dial in some thickness. So if it's like, oh, that's too much, just shift, pull this down. If it's too much on the inside, just shift, pull across here if we want it thicker or whatever, and then I can just grab these points here and just move them up to where it makes more sense, or Q-mesh them out of the way if that's what ends up being needing to be done. And along here, we're not going to have any railing, but up here we will. So when I did my group split, we have a front piece and a back piece. So let's figure out if I can't just steal from this geometry. And I think I can. So again, polygroup, polyloop here, isolate, delete hidden, go in here to move accu from the top and just kind of make this make a little more sense here. And then extrude, shift, group by normals, geometry modify to mirror and weld, thicken, thicken. Actually, I'm going to paint this one and just tap Alt so it gets a new polygroup there. All right. Something like this. Then again, you can move depth, or you can just go through here and just kind of put this here, and then we'll have another wood thing here that could kind of meet up. Now that I see that though, give me a second. I'm going to go back here. So, you know what, we'll reconfigure this. We'll say delete that out of here. This is the one I need, and then this one too. I'm going to go through here and I'm just going to collapse here, collapse this edge down here, and now we've kind of got a poly loop here. So let's go ahead and say bridge 2 points here to here, and then if I poly loop, actually, let's do this, bridge, move, poly group, yes, yes, isolate, delete hidden. I may not need to bridge that actually. Do a little bit of cleanup. That's fine. 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 Extrude. Shift. Group by normals. Geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. Shift. 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 And shift. There we go. So that I can fix. And this front part here, I'm going to duplicate this off. I'm going to take this one and this one here, delete hidden, move, actually don't move, slide, and slide this up and then slide this over. Polygroup, polyloop, U, isolate, delete hidden. Sorry, being super finicky with these. Okay, again, extrude, shift, again, group by normals, mirror and weld, there we go. Thicken, thicken. And then this needs to be fixed here. Well, let's try this. Let's hold down Alt and just paint along here so we get a new polygroup here. Sorry, let me do this again. Alt to paint along here, and then tap Alt to give it a new polygroup, and then see if we can't just shift to pull along here to make that thickness the same, and then we'll go back in here. I'll just kind of pull this back just a bit. All right, so railing here, and let's go ahead and straighten this top up. Control Alt, Shift, and we'll just Z scale back. Oh, thank you. All right, like I said, we can fix that as needed. And then let's turn everything else back on except for these top couple. And what else do we want to add? Okay, let's take this here, and we need something to make this look a little bit more integrated into the hull, or into the bottom part of the ship, I should say. So we're going to say, we'll push this in, and then I'm going to steal part of this. I'm going to duplicate this off. Hold down Control Shift. We'll just do a quick slice here. Go into solo mode. And then, so we'll steal this green one here, delete hidden, we'll do a group by normals, and then I'm gonna go to the top here and we'll say close convex hole, make that one polygroup here. And then, maybe we can have a little bit more fun with this one. So I'm gonna say insert multiple edge loops, interactive elevation, and we'll say keep group, and we'll just kind of pull out and kind of round this out a little bit here. So you got like a little barrel on the bottom here. Let's also say extrude and just hold down shift to pull along the surface normal. And that'll kind of make it look like it's on here a little bit more. And in fact, I'm gonna hold down shift to turn this off. If we look at the base where this kind of clips through, let's make that, do this, slide, edge loop complete. So about here, and then we'll say get rid of, delete hidden, and then we'll go down here and again, just close. Over an edge, close, there we go. Heck, those could even be boards, and then we can duplicate this off, and I can say, let me just use this, and you know, if we make this a little bit thinner, we'll go ahead and slide a little bit thinner, polygroup, polyloop, U and U, actually, U and U the same one, oops. Get rid of the pink, geometry modify topology, delete hidden, extrude. And then what else we need? Oh, we need a mast, right? So we've got a main here. Okay, and those can just be ropes. Okay, now we're getting to the fun stuff. I know this has been super fun, messing with that body a lot, but now I think we're getting to a little bit more fun things. So let's put just a cylinder right down the middle. I kind of want to keep it organized, so I'm going to go through here. I'm going to do a quick, we'll just do a cylinder of, how do I want to do this? Here's what I'm going to do. Quick save, out of edit mode, switch, Control N. I want a specific cylinder, so cylinder here, initialize 12 and 4. It's very simple. Make polymesh 3D. I'm going to rename this. Oops. So I know which one to grab. Append. Grab it. Scale. All right, so this is going to go across, and it's going to go across and in front. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, you can hold down Alt and you can scale along just 2 axes here. So we'll kind of put this in here, and we'll, you know what, geometry modify topology, mirror and weld right down the middle here. And this will be the top part of our sail. Now the bottom part of our sail is just going to be ropes, but this is going to be where the sail comes across, so it doesn't need to be that wide. Maybe this. And then for the bottom part of the sail, I'm going to put in just a placeholder here. And we're going to scale this out just a bit. So that's going to be the corner of the sail, just so I can have it. And again, if you want to have a little bit more fun, you can say, you know, insert multiple edges. You can hold down Alt, and then you can say insert multiple, and you just you can kind of bow this out a little bit, or you can use deformers and stuff if you want to just give that a little more oomph. So it's not just straight across, a little bit more bubbly. And then you can put all sorts of kind of cool stuff on here. But on here, we may need some rings to kind of keep these things, or they end up just being ropes. We can do that real quick. So I'm going to duplicate this off. I'm going to do a quick auto group. So we're going to grab this one here. We're going to say delete hidden, and we've already got some geometry in there, which is nice. It's all evenly spaced out. So let's use that to our advantage. You hear that caffeine kicking in? So we're going to bevel all the same. And then on the ends, does it also get? Yeah, it does. So, oof, let's do this. Insert single edge loop. I'm just going to put one over here on the side, just eyeball it here. Go back to polygroup here. And then we'll do a quick geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. And then I'm just going to take all these colorful ones. So get rid of the yellow here, delete hidden, and now we can say extrude all polygons. In fact, make them all in polygroup if you want to. So this is going to be kind of like rope. So if I hit D on this, it's actually going to smooth fairly nicely. It kind of looks like just metal rings. However, what we can do, We're going to turn on X symmetry. I'll do quick auto groups, and then geometry modify topology mirror and weld. And then you can hold down Control Alt, and we can kind of, let's turn off this, so we can go through here. We can kind of just maybe rotate this one, Control drag off a copy, rotate it back, and then we can go through here and we can say, you know, let's move this out just a little bit here, and then same thing for this one. So we'll rotate, and you go down mesh center. We'll rotate this just a bit, Control drag out a copy, rotate it back, and we'll fudge those in just a second. Here. And also what I mean by the fun part too is that, and let's go in here to our move brush, auto masking, is that getting like the base forms super important, and but also kind of like it's the ugly baby phase and there's not a lot happening. But then once you start getting into stuff like this, it starts really coming together nicely and all that good stuff. So here, let's go ahead and shrink this down. So we can fudge that a little bit maybe, but let's go ahead and just throw some panel loops on here. So I'm going to do very simple panel loops, which is going to be underneath the edge loop. So panel loops, polish down, thickness up, maybe bevel up a little bit, elevation at 0 so it goes forward and back, loops down to 1, just simple panel loops. Ooh, maybe not that much thickness. If you tap thickness and then grab that little top one, you can get a little bit more fidelity on here. Actually, you know what? Bevel down. Let's get those things closer together. There we go. So we've got some boards here, and we'll kind of move this down just a bit. And then here, we can split these up into boards as well. Let's turn off double, insert, maybe slide. Let's try to even these out just a tad. There we go. Now, panel loops for this. Let's see if this even works. I'm going to do a group by normals one. I'm going to crank that max angle way down so everything gets its own poly group. Oops. Mirror and weld in the X. Nope, not what I want. Okay, so something like this. Let's see if this even works. Again, panel loops here, bevel down, polish down, thickness up just a bit, elevation at 0. Yeah, I thought that might happen. Not a huge deal. Let's see if we can do this. Let's extrude polygroup all. Is it gonna? It's not gonna stick things together, right? Oh, it is. Think. Okay, here's what we do. Bevel here. And we're just gonna put a little space in here, and I'm just gonna go around the arc here, just to get these things unglued from each other. Oh boy. Oh, let's do this. Insert single edge loop here. Ooh, back myself into a corner. No big deal. Let's go over here. I'm going to do this. Check this out. Smooth modifier off, divide, delete lower. There we go. So I'm going to take you, and you, and you. Delete hidden. Now, panel loops. All right. And we can stick those together. Or we could even maybe take half of those. You know, they don't need a full armament in there. On this one, we can just do a crease PG. Let's see, crease level of 3, smooth so div of 4, or something like that. Crease level of 2, smooth so div of 3. Okay, so we got some ropes here. Sail, we've done this already before, but we can use cloth sim for that, but we can probably just model it in as well. So let's say we got this here, X symmetry turned on, geometry modify mirror and weld. I'm just going to pop a plane, and I've got a plane and a plane mid. Plane mid has mid lines on it, which I like a little bit. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to put in a little bit of dynamic thickness. So it's fake thickness and then no smooth subdiv. Just so I can kind of see it. It's still single-sided, but I can kind of see it. And yeah, so this is going to pull to the corners, and then this is going to be like lashed down there. Oh man, we can start making cannons. All right, we're in good shape. So we got this here, and I'm going to scale this like so. And I'm basically just going to make it so this sail is representative of where we want it. And then this one, I'm going to say insert single edge loop. Get rid of that one, and then we're going to scale this out. So it's going to kind of billow in this direction. Speaking of billowing, Let's see if this works. Multiple edge loops, interactive elevation. Yeah, it'll work. So you can just kind of put a little billow in there, and it'll kind of maybe shrink even a little bit along the sides here. All right. And then, oh yeah, we got those corners lashed down. So this back one we don't need anymore. So Control Shift Alt, delete hidden. And then just for the heck of it, let's go ahead and make it so that, so turn on polyframe, Alt tap here, and we're gonna go through here and we're gonna say insert. Let's try this. Let's insert multiple edge loops, and we're just gonna match edge loops so that they match where the, what is that, rigging or something like that is. So those will be, those points will be, let's do this. Let's do double. Yes. 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 Okay. So in between, they'll kind of be sunk down, and then they'll kind of be pulled back up. So that's going to be the general thing. And then down here, it's going to be flat, except for the corners where that's going to be tied. When it comes to tying stuff down in a straight line, you can just go in here to like brush curve. Oh, are we going to just do brush extrude? So you can do a brush curve, but there's also extrude profiles that probably have some simple stuff in here. These are kind of, that's fine, we can simplify it. Or you can use Z-spheres, which might be easier. But again, if we're going to do this, I'm going to go, let's just try it. Stroke, I'm going to turn off bend start and bend end, snap off, lock, no lock. And then the biggest thing is down here, because if I just use this now, it's going to want to kind of whoop, pull it off like it's a piece of hair. But instead, I want to do repel strength down to 0. So now when I pull, it just pulled. And then also, I want to make sure, let's just put the stroke menu over here so it stays open, as line. And also, so here's the curve fall off, so it's going to go thick to thin. In this instance, I don't think I want that, so I'm going to turn size off. So now I can go through here and I can say, you are connected to what? Do we need some balloons over the side? Or just a big balloon on the top? All right, we're just gonna do a pirate ship, and then the balloon stuff we can figure out later. And in fact, we can put cannons. We can do all sorts of cool stuff. I was looking at my reference here. So we've got like, oh, I gotta put that little wheel in there too. Okay. And the railing. Okay, we got some fun stuff coming up. So anyway, go from here, I don't know, maybe to here. And that's extrude profile. You know what? Let's just do this. We're gonna do all of our rigging. I'm gonna say append the Z-sphere. Hit E. Oops. Go down here to the Z-sphere. Tap X to go across X symmetry. E. Here we're gonna scale, shrink this down with scale, and then we're just gonna put this up in the middle here, out of the way. Or you know what? We don't even need to do that. What am I thinking? Smarter, not harder. I'm gonna go to any other thing here. I have a cylinder. Heck, really, honestly, any cylinder will do, right? Sorry, my brain, not great. So here's our cylinder. It's a line. We can go ahead and just split this off. And now we can just have this do whatever we need to. And then we can add more geometry on this as we needed. And it's going to go right down that axis. So we'll have this kind of put, yeah, somewhere back here. Like so. And then on here, these things will be tied to these little areas on the deck. So let's go ahead and put some of these in. So again, we'll just grab a simple cylinder here. I'm going to pull one out and then maybe pull it back just a bit. And we're going to say split mass points. And on here, we're going to say insert multiple edge loops. Just put one right down the middle. And then we'll do a quick bevel here. And then we'll do a quick, before we do the bevel, let's do a quick group by normals, and then we'll do a bevel. So now we can just do a cube mesh polygroup all. We'll just pull this out. Although what I like to do generally is, let's do another bevel. And let's not do a bevel. Let's do an inset polygroup all legacy. I'm going to inset this just a bit, so when I go through here and I do a Q mesh here, I just get a slight down turn there. Again, if I want to scale this on one axis, just hold down Alt, turn on LSIM, so we're on that local axis here. We can just kind of shrink this down, and now we can put, we can have one here, and then Control drag out, and then I can keep dragging, or we can just do, say, Control drag out, and then maybe one more. There's some stuff on there to just tie things on. So now this here, we can say go back to the cylinder here. I'm going to do a quick group by normals, geometry modify, topology, mirror and weld, LSIM turned off just in case. Go through here and we can thin this down just by Q mesh polygroup all, and then I mean the axis is set. Oh, you know what? Thickness off. There we go. Now sorry, I forgot I had thickness on the sail. So now when I Q mesh, I can just kind of pull down the axis there. Good enough. And you know, let's go to unmesh mesh center. So that's still here. It's still down the axis, which isn't a huge deal. We can always change that if we need to. And I don't want to inflate it because those caps, I don't want them to get out of control, or get pointy. Okay, we got that, and we got the front part here, and we can put something on here that's going to be the exact same thing. So cylinder here, we'll pull out and then back, and we'll say split mass points. I'm going to hold down Control Alt, W, go to unmesh mesh center, and then we'll just scale this down, pull this out. And there can be more ropes and ties on that, stuff like that. For the back area, yep, that's where that wheel's going to go. I guess we can try to do that. Let's do a quick save. Let's go out of edit mode here. Let's go grab this one cylinder. So this has our space on here. I'm going to do a quick group by normals. I'm going to isolate this. We're going to say delete hidden. Now, what's a good way to do this? Inset polygroup all. We'll inset again, and we'll put an insert down the middle, and we'll duplicate this off. Say delete hidden. I'm going to do a quick inset here. Delete hidden. So this can just be wood. We'll say extrude here, and then here. And then in between, again, we'll just duplicate this up just in case I need to go back. We'll take this one, say delete hidden. And now we'll try, so if I bevel this, okay, good, it keeps it straight. So we'll say U, shift will if you hold down shift, it'll kind of take into account the bends in here. But I'm just gonna kind of pull this out, and we'll just, what's a way for me to ensure those lines can just be converted to, let's say insert single edge loop, bevel. Let's try it. Because I can always thicken them out. It's not like I need them to be beveled the correct thickness. Right? We can also do a ray mesh for this, I suppose. I'm just going to quick drop a little here, just so I can see if I can get rid of that green one. Shoot, okay. Here, get rid of the green. Delete hidden. So now if I go through here and we say extrude all polygons here, I'm going to extrude out just a bit. I'm going to make this all one polygroup back here. A little bit easier to work with. Shift, polygroup all. Pull along those normals there. And then if I want to widen these out all at once, oh, we can do radial symmetry, duh. Let's go in here to transform, activate symmetry. Let's see where my symmetry is. So we're in the Y direction. So we'll do Y direction radial count of 12. There we go. So now if I go through here and I say, give me a bevel or insert multiple edge loop, interactive elevation, if I click and pull, and I'll kind of round these out. There we go. Something like this. And then I'm going to go through here. I'm going to say you are a polygroup, and you, Q mesh, paint, paint, let go. There we go. So polygroup, and then all of these can be one polygroup because I'm going to have these be just cylinders. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a crease PG for crease polygroup. Let's hit D for dynamic. That'll work. And if I want to thicken these up, I can go through a QMesh polygroup all and just kind of thicken them along there. Okay, that'll work, that'll work, that'll work. And then these, we'll just move forward. No biggie. Is that kind of what it looks like? Yeah. Problem is, these things have handles on them. So let's go ahead and scale this out just a bit. Go in here to solo mode, Shift D. Let's do QMesh polygroup all. Let's actually go out of solo mode, turn on transparency with ghost. We'll QMesh polygroup all, and in fact on this one too, we're going to say crease PG dynamic, just so I can get a better sense of where that's going to end up. So we want to let's QMesh back and then QMesh out. So this is going to poke through, it goes all the way through, and then it'll be kind of thick fat handles. So we'll do this too. So we'll go through here. I'm going to tap Alt to give me some new polygroups. We'll just kind of come out. Sorry, I keep losing. You go out about, you know, yay high so people can get their hands on them. Actually, should they bend in or out? Are they fatter when you grab them? Basically what I'm saying is, do a new polygroup here. Should I do a insert multiple edge loops this way, or should I go this way? Kind of like this way better. Okay, so I'm going to do an uncrease all. Let's do a crease PG, hit dynamic, and that'll end up being what we're looking at here. Okay, okay, okay. And then for these ones, we can just say control. Let's go in here to mask circle. I'm going to mask all these polygons down here. Then we're just going to, again, I want to scale down an axis. So I'm going to go to unmesh, mesh center. And if I hold down Alt, I can scale them down this direction without them shrinking. I'll tap here, and we'll again unmesh, mesh center, and we'll scale these out. Alrighty, and if I do want to control, let's do Shift D. Okay, let's do this. Let's do inset polygroup all legacy. I'm going to pull in a little bit of thickness on one side, and then again, these are all going to be one polygroup, sorry. And I'm just going to tap here to match it, and in fact I am going to, oops, let's go back here to mask pin here, pull this back in. Alrighty, so now let's do this. Let's hold down, let's control, if you do Control Shift and select lasso, you can grab these little middle edges here. Middle edges here. I can make these all one polygroup. So now when I go through here and I say QMesh polygroup all and I hold down Shift, they'll all pull out at the exact same amount. Something like that. Again, crease PG, dynamic. Let's say I like this wheel. So I'm going to take this wheel back into my other scene. I'm going to go ahead and merge these together, unmask. We'll turn this into an insert mesh brush. We'll just append it. It's going to go down the middle anyways. So we'll go ahead and say append my wheel. Drops down at the bottom. Z-sphere I'm going to delete out of there. Rotate. Scale. Push this back. And if I want to continue doing more of that type of modeling, I'm going to turn my transform since I rotated it. Put it in the Z direction with radial count and then turn on, that should work. Oh, maybe turn on LSIM. There we go. So that way it'll kind of stay with it. There we go. And how big should this be? Pretty small. Maybe thicken this out just a bit. All right, and this is going to be attached through something similar to that. So I'll go back here, Alt-E-M, grab a cylinder down the middle, split mass points. Oops. Hold down Alt to kind of scale it down this direction here. Yeah, something like this. And usually, let's move this back a little bit. if I am going to, well, it's going to have something coming out that direction, right? Okay, I'm going to just kind of fudge it real quick. So this is going to be separate objects. I like to just do a quick duplicate, and just like we did with the other thing, go in here to slice, go out of solo mode here, transparency maybe, and we're going to put this here and this here. I'm going to grab both these ends, U and U, delete hidden, ZModeler brush, close, U and U, and then just do a quick group by normals. So now if I need to kind of fatten these up, Q-mesh polygroup, I'll just hold down shift. And just for now, I'm going to fatten that one up even more. That'll be something kind of placeholder-ish. And I'll probably scale that down too. How much time we got left? Okay, we got time for railings. So if I'm going to put railings along here, I can use nano mesh for that. That'll be, I think that'll be nice. So where do I want to rate my railings at? So here, 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 maybe skip, put one here. And I'm not even totally concerned about these being the correct width. Actually, as per usual, duplicate this off here. And in fact, yeah, okay, we're fine. So here, 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 isolate just the white parts if I can. Delete hidden, insert single edge loop, or whatever. Then I'm going to put just things on here. So how do I put a cylinder on there that I can modify later? Okay, we can do this. Alt-E is my custom menu with all this stuff. I'm going to turn this brush. So we're going to go into brush, create nanomesh brush. So now it's stuck. A new nano ZModeler brush down here that has nanomesh. So face actions set, select it. Face actions set to insert nanomesh polygroup all. Let's hit Control W. So now when I pull out a cylinder 12 on here, it'll be a nanomesh. And under my nanomesh properties, you're going to see they're all the same size, regardless of, I think, regardless of the size of the nanomesh, but I want to make sure they are. So we're going to say, we don't want to do fit or fill, just proportional is fine. So they're all the same size here. And then I want to go and modify these. So we can turn off show placement, so that'll disappear. We'll go out of solo mode here, and let's make these things into something a little more interesting. So we're going to go in here to edit mesh here. And we're along this axis, that's okay. So we're going to scale these out just a bit. Is it not going to do it? Let me see. Let's do a quick group by normals. We're going to make the tops the same. Control W, so they're both the same. Let's do Q-mesh polygroup all. All right, that seems to be working. So basically, as I'm modeling here, it should be updating here. So I've got these kind of set in the middle, and I'm going to say insert multiple edge loops, keep polygroup here, and I'm going to scale these in maybe, or maybe out. Something like that. And they're kind of fat on here, so let me see if I can just hold down Alt and scale down here. All right, I think that'll work. Okay, so when I'm done editing, we'll go out of edit mesh. And if I want to keep playing with the height and stuff, or even an offset, I can say Z offset, so they're all kind of sitting on just on top. And then you can go through here and you can change the length, width, and height, like so. And then we can put boards on there, I believe. So are these going to be substantial enough? I don't think so. Let's make them a little bit fatter like we had. So Alt, scale it up. There we go, out of edit mesh. So now we've got this. Top rails should be easier. So I can just go down here, Alt tap this one. We can say duplicate, go into polyframe. Let's go into solo. Let's isolate just the blue, delete hidden, Q-mesh polygroup all, W, raise it up. And that'll be just kind of sitting on there. And we can modify that as needed. Kind of the same deal that needs to happen on the top, only we only need this section right here, which is perfect. Now here's a question. Can I steal this exact shape and put it up here? Can I copy a nano mesh? I can make it an insert mesh brush and keep the settings. Let's try this. Let's try it. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to duplicate this off. I'm going to go down here to nano mesh, inventory, one to mesh, go into solo mode, isolate just this one here, delete hidden, quick save, B, create insert mesh, new. And I probably, what I should have done, should I do it? What I should have done is done all of these nano meshes with this nano mesh up here. So as I'm changing this one, these automatically change. I can create a brush here and then do it on nano mesh here and copy, I think, the settings from nano mesh from one to the other. But boy, that sounds like a pain, doesn't it? And it was easy enough to do. So when in doubt, just do it right. Let me see, W, I'm gonna thin this top rail out first though. Something like this, I think feels better. So let's make these fit that a little bit. So let's go into, okay, here's what we can do. Maybe, let's see if this works. So I'm gonna go back down here to Nanomesh, and we're going to say show instances, show placement on, and I'm gonna shoot this down to the bottom. I'm gonna alt tap this one, I'm gonna duplicate it off, I'm gonna shoot it down to the bottom, I'm just gonna isolate both these two, and I'm gonna try to make these all one polygroup. So here, if I merge down, does it maintain my nanomeshes? No, but I can fix this. So again, hold down Alt, I'm gonna say U, U, and U. Alt paint. U, U, and U. Damn, okay. Control W, delete hidden. Go back to my ZModeler. Oh, we can actually just use this insert mesh brush now that I already have it modeled. So brush, create nano mesh brush with that one. So now I've got a new ZModeler brush with that insert mesh brush on it. So when I pull this out as a polygroup all, they should all inherit those. Turn everything else back on. We'll go back to our nano mesh properties. We'll turn off show placement, and we will change our Z offset. And maybe our height. All right, so I can control those all at once. Much nicer. So back here, we'll duplicate this off one more time. Isolate just the blue, delete hidden. Here. Alrighty. Any other cool stuff we need to build before we wrap it up? I guess maybe we could use. I'm going to say, go into solo mode here. I'm going to hit F to frame. You know what? Let's duplicate this off so I don't mess that up. I'm going to go through here. I'm going to say, is there an easy way to kind of decap these? Let's do Control Shift. We have that radial symmetry turned on, so I can just do a quick Control Shift A. Let's grab these polygroups here. Yeah, we'll keep those. Geometry modified topology, delete hidden. I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to go through here and we'll say close. All right, let's do this. Split hidden. Close. Control W. And then we're going to say Q mesh, polygroup all, pull this back. Basically, I'm making a wheel. Does this need to be reinforced that much? Let's turn our transforms radial count from 12 down to 6, so we can grab every other one. Delete hidden. I think that'll work. So I'm going to merge this down here. We're going to say Yeah, you know what, we'll just keep this here. W, control drag over, and this can be the start of like a cannon. Cannon should be fairly simple, right? Trying to see if I got a good picture of one. Okay, that'll work. So cylinder. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hit W, go to unmask mesh center, and I'm gonna put this in the middle of my world by using that little house icon. Turn on our floor. I always want to be Z forward. There we go. So now I'm going to append. You know, it honestly doesn't even matter what do I append. So if I go down here, and again, we have our wheel, and we have our star here. So if I crank the star down, the star's in the middle of my world, right? I can always go in here to my floor off. I can say, let's go in here and let's do a poly cylinder, or just a cylinder 3D, because I like the polarized caps on this one. And then we can go through here and I can say H divides and B divides. H divides is 16. I like a 12. H divides is 12. Now I can say thank you. We'll go back to Gizmo, and now we have a cylinder right where I need it. So here is the start of our cannon. Again, hold down Alt, or no, don't hold down Alt, just scale this out. Push this forward. It's going to kind of sit in here. There's going to be a bar going through, and let's go ahead and manufacture this thing. So it's going to come out here. We're going to say put a quick bevel in here, and then maybe it'll kind of swing down and then go back up, and then this will be a round cap. So let's do a quick group by normals. Let's isolate. Let's delete that. Delete hidden, and then we're going to say close convex hole, and we're just going to pull this out and then up, just to kind of round that out a little bit. Maybe a couple more spans. There we go. I'll make that all one poly group. And because you have a group by normals, we can just take this cap out and then give it some thickness. But before I do that, we'll just make this all one piece here. So I've got this capped here. I'm going to go ahead and say Q-mesh this out a little bit. I'm going to say insert multiple edges. So I'm going to go ahead and make it the same poly group as I pull out. So I'm going to kind of thin in this direction. Here maybe. And I'm going to hold down Alt and just pull this up here. I'm going to unmask. Let's go in here to mask lasso. Invert. I'm just going to pull this back a little bit. So here, and then past this line. So that'll be a big old band. This I'm going to have come out. So it's going to be kind of bloated back here. I'm going to tap Alt to give it a new poly group. So swoops in, swoops out, band. This can be separated, and then on the back here, just a real quick sphere. X symmetry turned on. Yoink. And let's go ahead and leave it on there. I could, nah, that's fine. That's fine. So now, again, you know, it's not fine. Split it. Keep that separate for now. So I'm going to take this one here, Control Shift Drag, Geometry Modify Topology, delete hidden. I'm going to do an extrude all polygons. We're going to pull this into whatever thickness that I'd like, and we'll do a flip. So way down here underneath your display properties, there's a flip. Your normal's back. And then if I want to make this thicker, again, just extrude, polygroup all, and then just hold down Shift as I pull through. So now I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? I always like to do an inset on these just a tiny bit, and then Q-mesh. Hold down Shift and Q-mesh this out. And then, yeah, I guess same thing here. This will all be, it'll all be just like cast iron welded together, I suppose. I won't make these into separate bands. Here. And then I'm going to do this. Insert single edge loop. Just put one right here, and then we'll polygroup polyloop here. And I'm just going to put a slight little bump. Multiple edge loops interact at elevation. Here. And we'll do a quick crease PG, crease level of 2, smooth setup of 3 or something like that. And that can kind of be a cannon kind of sitting there. All right. I'll move this up, and then I'll merge that little rounding on the back. And you know what? This is all probably fine. So I'm going to move this up and merge this down. So now we've got a little cannon sitting in our scene here. And where do we want to stick this? Oh, X symmetry turned off. We'll move it over here and we'll scale it up. Let's go to world axis here and we'll kind of just set that here, move it back just a bit. Yoink. All right, if I want one on the other side, just do a geometry modified topology mirror and weld, LSIM turned off, X symmetry turned back on. Now I've got our little cannon sitting there. All right, running out of time. Let's see here. Unmasked black, that's a dark material. Why use ZBrush for hard surface instead of Maya, for example? Because Maya would be slow as hell trying to do this stuff. Because I'd have to be, there's so many face selections you have to do in Maya. Polygroups are simple. You can group by normals, you can see them, you can paint them. In Maya, you can set like selection sets, but like, what a pain in the ass to be like, oh, well, let me name the selection set. Let me select that selection set. Let me extrude that select. Let me update my selection sets. Let me, I don't even know if you can update a selection set by normal angle or anything like that. So ZBrush is much, much faster. Cool, thank you, John. Yeah, so there's that. Oh yeah, I'm doing very little sculpting today. Cool. I'm doing well, thanks, Morpheus. Tell me if you have a stream tomorrow. I have a stream on Thursday. I might stream, you know what? I'm gonna hop off this, take a little bit of a break, and then I'm gonna hop on my channel, and we'll just finish this out. How about that? What if you play with Gravity Sketch? No, but it looks cool. How to use the cloth dynamics on that sail? Yeah, so we got a sail here, and now I need to think about how to, I mean, the geometry is pretty nice and even, which I suppose is good. I'm going to do a quick crease with a crease tolerance set at 45 just to get those corners creased. So as I, and actually this is dynamics thickness, right? Yeah, which is fine. So dynamic thickness on, I'm going to hit Control D to subdivide. Did it not get those corners? Crease tolerance down, down. Oh, it's not going to be creased because, stupid. Dynamic, apply, dynamic, turn off thickness, crease. There we go. So now if I hit Control D, it'll give me a little more resolution. So, for example, if I wanted to hit W, go to Unmesh, Mesh Center, and I start scaling this out, I can go to B, transform, BTC, which is transform cloth, and that'll kind of maintain this, so I can kind of do cloth stuff. I'm gonna hit Control D one more time. And I can also use dynamic here and, you know, put on a preview smoothness of like 2. So now as I go through and kind of do this type of thing, it'll turn into kind of clothy stuff. Now, however, this is, you know, if air's pushing through this, I don't want it to look like this because it just looks like it's kind of just sitting there being wrinkly. So I want the wrinkles to kind of be concentrated in the corner. So I wonder if I just mask this out, or let's say Control, mask these areas here. Let's turn on X symmetry here, and you. Control tap, oh boy. And you. Control tap to invert that. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is gonna work really that well, is it? You know what I'd probably do in this situation? Let's do this. I'm gonna hold down Shift. So now we're gonna get into sculpting. So Control D, let's subdivide this up. Let's play around with polygons. So we have, oh, we don't have a lot. Control D again. Turn off dynamic. Shift to smooth. There we go. So we got plenty of resolution. I'm gonna go through here, and instead of, you know, trying to force, you know, cloth into something, I'm gonna control where I want the cloth wrinkles to go. And then I'm gonna use cloth dynamics to kind of enhance. So I'm gonna go through here, and we're going to use Move Accu. We're going to pull this back so it's kind of touching the rigging or the little ropes there. And we'll kind of pull this, we'll just use regular move. So I have Move Accu, which does that pull to a point, and then I have regular move, which kind of pulls to a softer fall off. So we'll use move acu to kind of pull these up and then move to kind of pull these down. So hey, we're in ZRemesh and we're sculpting. How crazy is that? So again, move these back just a tiny bit. So where are the wrinkles going to come from? Well, they're going to be kind of coming from this direction. I'm going to make sure lazy radius is up, Z intensity not that high, and then we'll just kind of, I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I think my wrinkles should go. So as this cloth is touching here, it's probably going to poof up in the middle, maybe like so. And then from the corners here, and then I'm going to hold down Alt and then let go of Alt and hold down Alt and let go of Alt, and we'll put in some other wrinkles here. So it's going to kind of be pulling from this direction like so. And then we'll smooth out in the middle where that wind's really hitting that sail. So that's the start of it, right? And I have, you know, it's very thin mesh. We could actually probably make it a little bit thinner, but this is fine. And in fact, that's fine. Now I can go through here. I'm going to go into my pinch brush. Let's see how well this works. So pinch brush. We're going to go down to our, we don't need all this, do we? Stroke we're not playing with anymore. If you want to clear some of this out, just hit R. It doesn't delete them, it just clears some of that space. We're not talking about these anymore. So brushes, elasticity, and we've got simulation duration. So any brush in ZBrush, for example, BCK is cloth hook. You can go through here and use the cloth hook brush to kind of pull this around. Speaking of, if you want to go down here, we were talking about Thickskin earlier, you can turn on Thickskin, and that'll kind of limit the effect of this brush. So if you wanted to use this brush and just kind of push and pull along a certain axis, and if you want your wrinkles bigger, just drop your subdivision down, and that'll give you bigger wrinkles. In fact, you can do that with dynamic turned on, so you can kind of see what the end result might look like when you go back up in subdivisions. Also, you can have it up at 5, but you can go up here to your dynamics menu and you can say firmness. You can crank that firmness up, so as you're moving this around, your wrinkles will be a little bit bigger. And of course, you can use cloth dynamics and, you know, collision volumes and stuff. If you want to know more about all that type of thing, my YouTube channel has the ZRemesh What's New type of thing, and then also my ArtStation page, same thing. If you look at the corners, so this is all just kind of weird live stream stuff. But then if you look at the corners, the little plus signs, here's Intro to ZBrush, and then What's New, What's New, What's New, What's New, all in a row. So you can kind of go, even starting at a 04R8. So if you go here to ZBrush 4R8 and then just work through the What's New, you'll know about as much ZBrush as I know. It'll get you through some tight spots maybe. So anyway, we got that, and then we go back to our pinch brush. We'll turn our thickskin off. What was I saying? Oh yeah, thickness. Firmness, we'll drop this back down to 2. And we'll drop this down to maybe level 4. So now as I'm going through with my pinch brush, so I put the wrinkle directions in where I think I need them, and then I can kind of go in and enhance these wrinkles with just a little bit of pinch. And it's basically pinching, but also keeping that cloth algorithm going. So it's maintaining the relationships between those verts to give you a nice cloth kind of look. Something like that. Okay, so back in here, we'll go back to level 5, and then we'll just pull. Like so. And then, oh, you know what? We need an anchor, don't we? Yeah. What's an easy way to make an anchor? Quick save. Go out of edit mode, hit Control N. Let's go down here to a plane. Edit. Make polymesh mesh 3D. Turn off smooth modifier, divide this up. So we're working with some good stuff. I'm going to turn on X symmetry. Let's turn on skin shader 4, turn off line. We're going to go through and we're going to say mask. You know what? Let's do mask circle. If we want it to be perfect, we'll say square and center. So right down the middle. And then hold down Alt. And we actually use Shadowbox for this, but nah. And we're gonna hold down Control Mask Pin, and I'm gonna drop a little shape down here. And that's what a anchor looks like, right? So circle down. Oh, it has a little crossbar. Can't forget that. And then on the bottom here has kind of a little swoopy shape. So let's hold down. Why is stroke curve mode off? That was weird. And also lazy mouse off. There we go. And a big smile for the anchor. Control-Alt-Tap to sharpen that up a little bit. And that's going to go, and maybe you have like little pointy ends out of here. I'm not going to worry too much about that because I can just model them in. I'm just trying to get the overall shape and taper of this anchor. Control-Alt-Tap. Control. So we have our anchor shape. I'm going to go through here and we'll do a edge loop mask border with delete lower. So edge loop mask border, Control-Shift-Tap, geometry modify topology, delete hidden. Still got some aliasing going on. I had bad luck with that this morning. We're gonna go in here to border, Control-Tap, polish by features, open circle, drag that to the oof. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna mask by features. I'm gonna grow it a little bit, Control-Tap to invert it, and all the masking down here is fine. It's just around the circular areas that where it's having a problem. So you are good, you are not. Polish by features, just tap. There we go. So X symmetry turned on. We'll turn our line back on. We'll say adapt size down to 0, target polygon count of 5 is fine. ZRemesh half, half, half. So now we've got kind of an anchor going. And let's say we want to do a, I guess this is all just one solid piece of metal, extrude polygroup all, just one big old welded piece of metal. And then if I want to kind of bevel this, we'll say inset polygroup all legacy, and then we'll say QMesh polygroup all. Hold down shift as we pull along here. Another thing you could do is you could say QMesh, and then you can go over here to crease, and there is a bevel width. Hold down Control, and along your polygroups, it'll just put a little dive in a little thing. However, before I do that, actually before I even extrude, I'm going to change this out. We'll make this into a little point. Again, ZRemesher, when you do pointy stuff, sometimes it has a little bit of a problem. So let me see if I can figure out how to put a little point on here. So again, we do have a ZModeler brush just for extruding edges. So we can just go through here and start extruding edges as needed. So we'll extrude this edge out. And the cool thing about this one is it'll actually extrude and it'll snap the surfaces as well. And it's got move set up so it can move and snap points as well. Gosh, think, Mike, think. This, out, and then down. I don't know what I'm doing. Geometry, mirror and weld. Oops, mirror and weld. Go back to my, go back to my topology brush here. This can come down, this can come out, this can come out, and then this can go up. I don't know, something like that maybe. Collapse, move. Does that work for everybody? Good enough. Control W, make it all a polygroup. So now we'll say QMesh here. Big old fat anchor, inset, polygroup all, QMesh, polygroup all, hold down shift, pull along that surface normal. And I can adjust some of those verts as needed. And then, actually before I do that, sorry, hold down Control. I'm going to make this all one straight line. So Control, let's go back to mask pin. Control Alt W. I'm just going to take this one here. You can use clip as well. Why is this being not? Okay, fine. Oh, you know what you could also do? Let's unmask these. Let's hold down Control and scale. That'll actually scale to a clip. But then why won't it move? Oh, stupid. Brush transpose regular. I had transpose cloth on. I was trying to maintain those relationships. I was like, why is this not working? There we go. And then again, so now this is why the Z scale wasn't working, because transpose cloth was like, no, you don't want to do that because we're cloth, remember? And I didn't remember, my fault. So again, you can do that or hold down Control and scale and it'll clip along there, and then you can just move that out. So that's a cool one. Also, let's go through here. I'm going to alt paint this. What direction are we in? We're not Z forward. Let's make it Z forward just for my brain. X symmetry turned off. Yoink. Geometry modify topology, mirror and weld. X symmetry turned on. So now as I do this, I can paint. here, and I'm just going to do a Q mesh. I'm not going to do an inset just yet because I'm going to get that going. So here, Alt. Let's do a group by normals. That's weird. That should definitely be. What the hell's going on here? I'm losing my mind. Okay, fair enough. So there it is, right? Let's go down here to our crease, hold down Control, and in between all of these, we'll put in a little bevel. I'm going to say crease PG, dynamic crease level of 2, smooth side div of 3. Turn this off, and now we've got a little anchor here. I'm going to do Shift D to turn all that off. I'm going to bend this a little bit more, so I'm going to hold down Control. Let's turn on symmetry, transform, activate symmetry in the X and Z, and we can even mirror and weld in the X and Z. But this has to be centered, so let's put it here. Actually, I could do LSIM turned on and not have it centered, but why not? So mirrored and welded in the X and the Z, transforming the X and the Z, and let's see if I can't make this a little bit more bendy. Bend arc maybe? Come on, transform. X and Z, I said. Oh, did I turn that off? Oh, Gizmo might have turned that off for me. All right, sorry. Good enough. So quick save, because sometimes hopping out of here and creating an insert mesh will sometimes do some weird things. So now we have an anchor. So now let's go back to our ship. Oops. And then just tap anything that doesn't, you know, one thing I do like to have is an appended star up, star X symmetry on, star shrunk, star hidden, and that'll be my name catcher. So when I go in here, and turn this visibility off. So when I go in here and save as, enter my streaming ship in a bottle. That'll go ahead and catch that ship name for me, as well as gives me something just kind of hanging out there as a null node. So if I need to go in here with an insert mesh brush and have other things visible, I can just go through here and just click and drag. So that anchor will be hanging on there somewhere in here, and we'll poke a hole in the side of the ship maybe. And we can have some chains coming out of here. And chains, you can make an IMM burst with chains, but I think what I'm going to end up doing, I'll drop these down just a bit, is something like this. We're going to go in here with a ring. I'm going to say split mass points here. Let's turn these both back on. We're just going to do some impromptu chains real quick. As we sit here, LSIM turned on. So that'll just kind of nicely fit right on here. I'm going to go in here and do an extender. Where is it? I don't use it very much. There it is. So extender, we're going to pop this off. So that'll give us a little bit of a chain look. And now I'm going to go through here, deformation, inflate. We can make this chain a little fatter and then scale it down. And then if I want another chain, and again, I don't think this is going to be going in very far. That's good enough. I'm going to control drag, and we're going to deflate this just a tiny, tiny bit. There we go. And then we'll do an auto groups, uncrease all, W, let's do this, mask invert, because I want to keep that axis there. And then as this is kind of going into the ship, I can go through here and set that pivot and just kind of tilt this in a little bit, control drag out a copy, rotate it 90 degrees-ish, rotate it back in, and now I got a big fat chain in there. Again, don't need to overthink it with like IMM brushes and stuff like that. Here and here, let's do a quick LSIM turned off, mirror, mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on, and now we've got an anchor, and we've got chains, and we've got rigging and sails, and I think we're good. So I'm going to hop off this channel. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break, and then we're going to hop on my channel, and we'll just continue this out. After I get caught up, let's see. Did Stager replace the instance workflow using NanoMesh? In some things, some instances, Stager's really useful. For these things, instance NanoMesh, like these are nice to edit on the side, but that's not really an instance NanoMesh. Yeah, so if you want to do like a knee pad down the middle and then use Stager to hop back and forth, for sure, I think that's fair. Flip thing still gets me turned around sometimes. That's another thing too, is like make sure double is turned off on your objects, and then when you have flip normals, you'll always know it, because sometimes those will sneak up on you. Cool. Is a way to mask the area. Is mask the area where polygroups collide? For example, if you want to make a deep crease between polygroups collide. That's a good question. Let me see. Quick save. So you can have, so this is make polymesh 3D, W, control drag out, control W. So now we have two polygroups that are colliding. Here, I'll go ahead and shrink this one down. So where these two meet, you can go, there's a Z plugin, right? And it's called intersection masker, create intersection mask. So it'll go through, and if I get rid of this one, you'll see it's masked on this side, and then masked on this side. So you can use that to your advantage. Yeah, I'd have to see what you're making to see if there's a more, I mean, that's how you can mask between two objects, but it may or may not be really that helpful depending on what you're trying to make. Is there a way to reset the brush settings in ZBrush Core? Oh, ZBrush Core, I don't know. In ZBrush, you can go down here to brush and then reset current brush, reset all brushes. So if they have something like that in Core, maybe, or just restart it, probably. Cool. Yeah, first Tuesday. Thanks, Blitzkriegix. What are the hotkeys when you QMesh? I just have ZModeler set to Alt Q, and then so basically I don't really have any hotkeys. I just go through here and I'm like, oh, what do I want to do with this? I want to inset it. I just know where it is. So I don't memorize everything in here because I only use like 4 things. But if you did want to set a hotkey, for example, if I'm like, hey, I want to slice through meshes, or I want to do topology. Okay, so let's set this up. I'm going to go through here with my plane mid. I'm going to say, like this. So underneath brush, we have modifiers. I'm going to want to stick this to my surface, right? So we're going to change projection strength up 100%. So I'm going to take this on here and see how it's kind of sticking all to the surface. I'm going to say split mask points, turn on transparency, and now I've got this object here. Well, if I go to ZModeler brush, I got to be like, oh, I have to go over here to extrude, and then on my points, I have to change all these settings. Or you can save off a copy of your ZModeler brush called ZM Topology, for example, and these are, you have access to these. They're underneath brush, ZModeler. So here's slice, all set up for slice, all set up for topology. And all, when I mean set up for, all I mean is you can save out a copy of ZModeler. So you can just literally just take ZModeler and hit clone, and then say on face, I want it, for topology, face I want to do nothing. Points I want to move by brush radius, snap the surface with attraction. Edge I want to, oh, I've messed this up. Edge I want to do extrude. Free size probably, snap the surface, smart attraction. So now I can go through here and I can use this. It's going to snap to my surface, and I can tap Alt once if I want to pull out edge rings around here. I can also hold down Alt if I want to go in every direction, and then I can tap Alt again to go back to single. And while I do this, it'll snap. So I'm snapping to the surface, and if it ever gets away from the surface, remember, you can just go down here to project all, and it'll snap. So like if you got something a little far away, project all, snap it back down. Or if it's like popped out here, just do a quick project all, snap it back. So back in here, back under your ZM topology brush, you can assign a hotkey to topology, and then all of your point, face, and edge actions will be specific for the kind of work that you want to do. So again, you can go through here, and then you can do target weld, which is brush radius through here. You weld these things up, and then just do whatever you need to do. The other one is slice. So that one has face action set to polygroup fill, Edge actions set to slice mesh edge, point actions set to slice mesh points. So now if I want to slice through here arbitrarily, I can say I want to go from here over to here, down, back, up, and around, and close. And then if I do polygroup fill is set to polygroup fill stop at creased edges. So I can slice through and then fill my polygroup. So that way I can go from point here and just slice through my mesh arbitrarily and then fill really quickly. All set up with one hotkey, basically just a copy of your ZModeler brush. Dun-dun-dun. Do you recommend Wacom 1 for ZBrush? I don't know what Wacom 1 is. Sure. Recommendation for learning hard surface modeling on ZBrush. Yeah, so on here, if you go to this intro to ZBrush, there is a ton on there's like intro to ZModeler. You can go and, and here's the 1 through 51, all the way through here. And then there's like 3 sections on just ZModeler. On top of that, if you want to dive a little bit deeper on just other techniques, so there's hard, and I'll do a workshop or a video specific for this. So here is your hard surface dock. If you go down here, see a lot of different people going. So here's the artist examples. So like Brute Force, Kiosk Masons and Jonas and id Software and stuff. And then Brute Force to rebuild. And then it's like Mike Nash and Ben Ert. And then, Mixed Solutions, Chi Vang and Nelson, Alex O and stuff like that. So you can, bunch of different ways to kind of have fun. ZBrush, hard surface in ZBrush is so damn fun. Yes, you can do stuff in CAD that's really interesting, and there's all, it's a supplement to all of that. It's not going to be best for everything, but as far as just getting your idea in the round, oh man, ZBrush is too fun. So you can check those out. I would need the reference of the French person to sculpt. Cool, yeah, and hard surface modeling. And yeah, even on my, like you say, there's ZModeler stuff specific in there, but also in here, I've got big mech, and then honestly, I do a ton of hard surface modeling. There's the, even when I'm doing sculpty stuff, I like to be precise and clean about where I'm putting my things before I start sculpting. So a good example, or if you want older examples here, there's the sci-fi weapon process, and then if you want to get even messier, speed modeling and texturing, they're hard surface-ish. And like I mentioned before, the ZBrush Summit 2018 demo tutorial series is basically just a bunch of hard surface stuff. It's mechs and weapons and a little bit of character equipment stuff. So check it out. Cool. Thanks everybody. I'm gonna head out. Misspelled thanks. And then I'm gonna take a little break, hop over to my channel, we'll finish this thing out. Yeah, I'll finish it out, put it in a bottle, maybe put a balloon on top. I don't know, we'll see where it goes. Maybe put some sharks in the bottom, maybe some clouds. There's some honestly, there's some rendering stuff I want to do. I've learned redshift for a whole day, so I want to kind of play around in there. So cool, thanks everybody, and take it easy.